All right, we're going to do this a little different tonight. We have to set our millage, so we're going to now enter into a public hearing. Ms. Sandy, would you like to read title first? What title?
This is proposed ordinance, LP ordinance 18-19, an ordinance setting the millage rates as adjusted for the tax year 2018.
Is there any comment from the public on this? Comment from the council? Ms. Sandy, will read the second time?
Proposed ordinance 18-20, an ordinance as follows to wit, revoking the dedication, abandoning, and quitclaiming in favor of Shriver Investment Properties, LLC, a 40-foot all-purpose servitude identified by the cross-hatched portion as shown on the plat titled Plat Showing 40-foot all-purpose servitude to be revoked located on tract AG 1B1, located section 5, township 7, south, range 3 east, Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, by Centerline Engineering and Land Surveying, LLC, dated April 27, 2018.
Comment from the public? Council? We are now closing the public hearing. I need to get a motion to accept, to do these together, or do you want to do them separate? Just go to the regular agenda? Okay. All right, I'd like to call the regular meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council Chambers. Meeting is July 12, 2018. Mr. Tab Blowbell, you have the invocation. Could everyone please stand?
We're just thankful to live in a place where we have the freedoms that we so often take for granted. We just ask that you let us all do things this evening that will be to glorify you. We just ask that that you be with those that are overseas fighting for those freedoms that we do take for granted. We thank you for all you do for us, and we do thank you for your son that gave us that pathway to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Washington, those players, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good team,
Did you go to the inbox? Ms. Sandy, please call roll. Here.
Mr. Watson.
Here.
Mr. Garlinghouse.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Talbert.
Here.
Mr. Lobel. Mr. Averett.
Here.
Mr. Mack.
I'd like to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off or mute it. When we come to an item, if you have something to say, we'll allow time for public input. You'd please, if you have public input, come to the podium, state your name and address. All right, at this time, we're going to move the committee reports up. We have a report for the Finance Committee. So we'll move down and do that, and we'll go ahead and go to Finance Committee. Chairman, Mr. Garlinghouse.
Yeah, the Finance Committee heard the audit. Everything seemed to be in good order. Of course, it was the Finance Committee's recommendation that we accept the audit. Mr. Murray, he gave an explanation. Did anybody? He can answer any questions if you have anything specific about it. Anybody?
Summary.
So we did perform an audit for the year ended December 31st, 2017, and I have that in front of you. I have a little summary of it as well. So just to kind of give a summary of our opinion, we gave an unmodified opinion on y'all's financial statements, which that's a clean opinion. So in other words, we've said y'all's financial statements present fairly in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. As part of our audit, we also did some tests of y'all's internal control and compliance. I gave a report on that in governmental auditing standards, in accordance with governmental auditing standards. I have a summary of the internal control and compliance on page 10. We didn't see any material weaknesses, any major control deficiencies. We did see one significant deficiency and one non-compliance, which we'll discuss. Also, as part of our audit, we have to do a audit of y'all's compliance with federal requirements related to y'all's major programs. And on that, we also had a clean opinion. We didn't see any material non-compliance, and we didn't see any, anything need to be reported there. The findings we had mentioned are on page 11. The first one relates to permits and licenses. In our testing, we noticed that there's some skips in the permit numbers. And, of course, y'all have already, taken steps to, buy new software and do that. So that should be something that will come off next year for sure. The next finding relates to failure to amend budget. It's Louisiana Local Government Budget Act requires that y'all amend your budget if you have an unfavorable variance of more than 5%. And we had that in a couple of funds this year. So it's just, our recommendation is just to, it's kind of hard to, time that out, but just to monitor it and, which y'all have been monitoring, basically. So we had a few findings last year. Two of them remain, the permits and the budget, but there was a finding last year on credit cards, and in our testing, we didn't see anything this year. So that finding is resolved.
Any questions from the council? All right, thank you.
Thank you. And I should say, I thank Jennifer and her staff for all their hard work and, assistance.
All right, we'll move on to ordinance committee while we're on committee. Mr. Mack?
We have we have a meeting Thursday night. It is the 19th, and what time did we say that meeting was going to be?
6 o'clock.
Is it 6 p.m.? That's correct. Appreciate y'all's input there. And we would like to invite all the residents of Livingston Parish to attend and help us review the recently modified junk car and ordinance. And we're just going to get together and talk about some things and go over it and just decide as a group if any changes need to be made there. One other thing that we going to have on that agenda and up for discussion is, when you're developing a subdivision and, your entrances and your exits, we feel like if a subdivision is going to be a certain size, then we're going to need to require a certain number of entrances and exits. We're going to kind of discuss that and maybe get some feedback from the residents and constituents. And so come on out Thursday night at 6. We're going to try to limit it to about an hour and a half. And we sure would appreciate y'all coming and helping us review those things. And so I thank you for your ability to announce that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. All right, we'll move back up to item 7, which is presentation. We don't have any presentations tonight. Item 8, adoption of the minutes for the June 28th, 2018 regular meeting of the council. Offered by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Mack. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Parish President report. Report from him. 10, Office of Homeland Security. A report from them. We already covered 11 and 12. So now we need.
Adopt it.
Okay, item 11, adoption of LP ordinance number 18-19, setting millage rates as adjusted for the tax year 2018. Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Harris. Any comment from the public? Comment from the council? Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. R.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Talbert.
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Averett.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Item 12, adoption of LP ordinance number 18-20. Servitude revocation, Shriver Investment Properties, Inc., Juban Road.
Sandy, is this the one that we did is this the one we did as a resolution, now we're having to come back and correct it?
We got a motion by Mr. Harris to accept, second by Mr. King. Comment from the public, from the council. Sandy, please call the vote.
Mr. R.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Talbert.
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Averett.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Okay, item 13, Planning Commission recommendation. Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Council. First on the Planning Commission recommendation is Creative Craft. This is a commercial development in the Mr. John Waskins district on Florida Boulevard. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan contingent on giving the developer / owner 24 months to complete his paving application. He's gonna do 2/3 of it in the first phase, and then we're gonna give him 24 months to finish the rest of it. So,
What do we do if he doesn't finish it in 24 months?
then we have to revisit it and make some adjustments.
Okay. All right.
John, how you feel about him not finishing the parking all at one time?
I'm okay with it. I've gotten no phone calls regarding this. It's on Florida Boulevard. It's a heavy commercial area. I don't think there's any problem at all, and so I recommend that you we support it. Based on the planning commission's recommendation as well. That's a motion.
Motion by Mr. Watson, second.
King. Any comment from the public? Council? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you for being pro-business.
Next on your agenda is a commercial development also, Racetrack Petroleum. This is part of the Juban Crossing project. This is actually on the north side of the Juban Road Boulevard. This is also in Mr. John Waskins' district. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan for Racetrack.
Mr. Sam, I believe it says Council District 5 on that one.
That's wrong.
Well,
I think all of Juban's in yours, isn't it?
Well,
I think that's in your,
North side.
that's in your.
Juban is mine, but I mean,
On the west side of the Juban Road, so I think
that's me, if it's the west side.
Yes, west
Okay.
side for sure, yeah.
Okay.
That's gotta be. Where
So does
exactly is
it-
that gonna be,
does
Mr.
it have
Sam,
an
you know?
entrance- Does it have an entrance off Juban, or is the entrance off out of the shopping center?
It's gonna be both ways.
So it's gonna be on that corner, if you're coming south, on the right corner. Yeah, but that, I can't see that.
Is that across
That's what I mean. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
I think they've worked it out with DOTD as well as the developer for Juban Crossing, along with our engineers, and they've come to
I make a motion, we approve that.
At the corner.
Motion by Mr. Wasson, second by Mr. Harris. Any comment from the public? Comment from the council? All in favor? All opposed?
Next on your agenda is another commercial development, Vaquero Strip Mall Center, preliminary site plan. This is in Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse's district. It's a recommendation, and it's on Juban Road, right south of the Dairy Queen. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan for Vaquero Strip Mall Center, pending receipts on a letter of no objection from Demco, because this thing's gonna be kind of built like the Dairy Queen was, like the,
So that power line running right behind them, it may just be under it a little bit, or under the right of
It's
way.
within- The right of way is 25, and it looks like on the drawing, they're gonna put 20 feet off.
So they all getting the same treatment along there. Okay. I think we had talked to you about the first one, when Dairy Queen went in.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. King. Comment from the public. Council? All in favor? All opposed?
okay, next on your agenda is waivers for lots on the servitude. This is, Mr. Scott Jones project. This is in Jeff Averett's district. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the waiver of 2 new lots on the servitude for Mr. Jones, contingent on the parish engineer's signature, for the review of a drainage impact study. So that was our concern. The engineer here is at the meeting. If you have any questions, I think we hashed it out between I think Mr. Cadbacher was there at our meeting, and we was just concerned a little bit about the resubbing and the drainage, and I think they got it hashed out, and we're gonna review it.
Jeff, you good with that? I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Avery, second by Mr. Talbot. Any comment from the public? From the council? All in favor? All opposed? I would, Mr. Sam, I also want to state that, item, 13D, which is Foxglove, was tabled.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Last on your agenda is a servitude revocation. This is for Mr. Adam Housley. This is also in Mr. Jeff Averett's district. And it is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the servitude revocation for Mr. Adam Housley. All letters of no objections are in place.
So we met, the checklist has been done?
Yes.
Can you read by title?
This is the proposed ordinance 18-21. This is an ordinance as follows to wit: revoking the dedication, abandoning, and quitclaiming in favor of Adam Housley, a 35-foot access servitude identified by the crosshatch portions as shown on the map, showing revocation of an existing 35 access servitude across a 2.033 acre lot located in section 35, township 7 south, range 4 east, Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana. Brett J. Morton, professional land surveyor, dated June 18, 2018, and the public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on July the 26th.
We had a
Thank you, Mr. Sam.
motion from Mr. Avery, second from Mr. Harris. Any comment from the public? The council? All in favor? All opposed? Item 14, accept additional footage on Hunter Brook Lane into the parish maintenance system. Gary Talbot?
I had a call from a resident that had bought a lot on Hunter Brook and asked about bringing in a parish maintenance system, and I told him that wasn't possible. He informed me I was wrong. So he informed me what the ordinance said, and we got a map, and basically when Mr. Kenny Lindsay built the additional footage on Hunter Brook Lane, he built it to parish standard. There's a 60-foot servitude. The road is gravel but 20 foot wide. There's a T-turn at the end. So all the design qualifications of a parish road are met. However, when he tried to bring in the parish maintenance system, there were no homes built on it, so DPW didn't allow that to happen. Since then, there have been 6 homes built on it and 2 more under construction. There were 8 lots to begin with. So I talked to Mr. Sam. They went out there, they put the wheel on it, they got an accurate measurement, they inspected the road. And Sam, to my knowledge, it meets exactly all the standards. And there's a map platted with the servitude on it and everything. So there's no question that it doesn't, you know, that it meets the standard. So they asked that we bring it in. Now there's a little discrepancy. When the original Hunter Brook Lane was built, you know, it was called Hunter Brook Lane. There was another part added onto it, and when it was brought in the parish maintenance system, it was brought in as Hunter Brook Extension. And it's got a defined footage on it. However, you go to 911 or anybody's mail, everything is addressed as Hunter Brook Lane. There is no such road as Hunter Brook Extension. So I would like to make a motion that first off identifies the new footage of Hunter Brook Lane and bring it into the maintenance system. And secondly, correct the name, which was done by resolution of the previous council. When did that happen, Angie? In 08, and it was brought in as Hunter Brook Extension, but it's legally Hunter Brook Lane. So I'd like to, Chris, can I do that? Do both things at the same time?
I can't think of a reason why you can't.
Okay. I just want, you know,
Thank you for that.
For the purpose of
Concrete legal opinion.
transparency, I want to be sure that we're not doing something that we didn't address on the agenda. So.
Yeah, I think it's close enough to be the same topic.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to bring in the new section of road, which is how many feet, Angie, exactly? What's the ordinance say, 1,000?
1,383.01.
Bring that in with the T-turn, and then go back to the 2008 ordinance and adjust the name that they put on it as Hunter Brook Extension and make it just Hunter Brook Lane, which is what it's legally called now.
I want to ask a question. How much did it add to the road? How much was the extension?
On the resolution that you have in front of you, it was 1,103.97 feet. The side street was 279.04, which it will add a total, an additional 1,383.01.
Now, Hunter Brook was 24 something, and the extension was 7 something originally.
When I spoke to Huey, he did mention some rough numbers, but they were putting the wheel on it, and he mentioned 2540 feet that they maintain that goes to the T-turnaround. And then an additional 700 feet was that 08 Hunter Brook Extension.
So Hunter Brook Lane and Hunter Brook Extension, as they're named now, is 3,000 something feet, and we're adding another 1,300 feet to it. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if y'all been back there and looked, they done built some big old houses back there. We're talking about well outside the homestead exemption, so.
They got nice houses, qualified, decent standard. Let's throw it with it.
Well, I mean, I think the deal is.
I'd like to, real quick, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
that's fine.
I agree with Mr. Pack. There's nice houses, people use it as the way to get back and forth to their investment, their property. It doesn't matter if it's parish standard. We need to bring that in.
Well,
I mean, that's just, if those roads are being used by these people, they need this in the parish maintenance system.
Then why bother to have a parish maintenance standard at all?
Here's what, this is the point I want to make this little point real quick. We developed a subdivision prior to Katrina, Willow Point Phase 1. And after Katrina hit, all the lots in Phase 1 sold out. We had acquired some land next to it, and we did Phase 2. I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a tremendous slump in the housing market post-Katrina after a bunch of housing. So we had developed a second filing, and I guarantee you, when the 18-month bond was up, I bet there wasn't 6 houses built on all 3 streets. But those streets were taken in the parish maintenance because they were asphalt streets in a subdivision. You know, if you think about it, for the most part, when bonds are up, we just automatically take the roads in after they've been inspected, and there have probably been times that, similar to this Hunter Brook deal, that, you know, the bond's up, you know, the road comes in, but they might not necessarily meet the house standard. I'm just telling you, this is a particular situation because of the way it was done. DPW looked at it and wouldn't do it because of the houses. So all I'm saying is that if there'd have been 6 houses built on it when the road was first done, it wouldn't even been a question at that point in time. The only reason we're bringing it in after the fact is because it didn't meet the house standard. It wasn't because it wasn't constructed to parish standards. It didn't have an adequate number of residents on it to bring it in the maintenance. So I think the reason that we're doing this after the fact is only because of the number of houses. It has nothing to do with the way the road was built or the way it was designed. So I'd like to make a motion that we bring it in and change the name of the other one back. And
I'd like to second.
thank you, Mr. Wascom. I appreciate that.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Wasson.
Let's see if he'll second the next motion I make.
Is there any comment from the public on this motion?
I can't believe that agreement.
Yeah. Ms. Sandy, call for the vote, please. Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Greenhouse? Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Mr. Talbot? Mr. Liville? Mr. Averett? Mr. Mack?
Okay, item 15. Adopt resolution to allocate funds from the Livingston Parish Mosquito Abatement District dissolved on March 22nd, 2018 to Mosquito Abatement District 2 and 3. Gary Talbot.
What, Scooter?
And Scooter King.
No, that don't have my name on
Are you scared?
it. No, I ain't scared. I ain't never scared.
Hey, Jennifer, what page was that? 90?
Jeff, I thought you was gonna
90.
skip again like you tried to.
I started to.
Hoping that would go away.
Kinda threw me off.
Okay, guys, so here's the deal. There is a mosquito abatement fund that currently has $148,704. It's left over from when the mosquito abatement district was dissolved. It has only one purpose and one purpose only, and that's mosquito abatement. There was equipment, and Jennifer and I discussed this earlier, and Leighton had done some research for me on it, and we've talked about it. The equipment owned by the mosquito abatement district was given to, Jennifer thinks, 4 municipalities. It might have only been 3. We know that Denham was given a truck. We know Walker was given a truck, Livingston a truck, and there's a possibility that Albany might have been given a truck.
I think it was just the sprayer that goes in the truck.
At the Albany?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
So in essence,
That sounds about right.
we have given, and there was no money exchange, they were donations to those municipalities. We have in the past given assets of that mosquito abatement district to other entities for the purpose of,
Getting it off the books.
controlling mosquitoes.
Mosquito
We could have liquidated them. We could have sold them and put cash in the bank. We chose to give them away for the purpose of fighting mosquitoes in other areas of the parish. So in essence, what Scooter and I, or what the board has asked for, and this is a resolution, we can't generate an appropriation at the council level. So this is a resolution, and I'm doing this kind of for our parish president's benefit. He can generate an appropriation, he can ask us to amend the budget. And this kind of preliminary vote, make no mistake about it, I'm not gonna ask him to make an introduction of something and him get beat on it. I'm just not gonna do that. So this is a resolution asking him to do it with support of the council. Now, what the board has asked for is a $50,000 appropriation this year, fiscal 18, 25,000 appropriation in fiscal 19, and a $25,000 appropriation in fiscal 20. And we wouldn't ask, if the council asked Leighton to do it, the board would not even consider it until the announcement comes out, positive or negative, with respect to the grants from the CDC that are supposed to be announced later this year. In the past, when those grants came down for startups, they had 2 requirements: recurring revenue and a licensed director. So in essence, what we're trying to do is create recurring revenue from the mosquito abatement fund to jumpstart this district. which if we get that money, then make the application for the grant, and it's awarded, then we could use the $250,000 to acquire equipment and acquire chemicals. We cannot use it to pay labor. However, I guess we'll just lay all this out. The board's intention is at some point in time after a plan is developed of how we're gonna, there are a bunch of different ways to do mosquito bait. You can randomly spray, you can test and spray, you've got all kind of bells and whistles. You can have a Chevrolet program, a Cadillac program, a Buick program. There's just different levels at which you can, attempt to provide mosquito abatement. We're gonna discuss what we think we can afford. We're gonna put a budget together. And we're gonna look for a palatable funding mechanism. The one that we think might be palatable would require work in the legislature to allow us to put it before a vote. So in essence, if we came up with a budget and we had something pre-filed and a local bill for the winter of 2018 to be heard in the session in the beginning of 2019, in essence, the earliest we could have an election would be in the fall of 2019. So to tell you how much Scooter and I believe in what we're doing, we're probably going to ask the voters of District 2 and 3 to re-elect us and pass a mosquito fee at the same time, which might be political suicide, but it is what it is. So in essence, we're also gonna follow the lead of fire districts in the past and send out letters to the residences of our district, the citizens, requesting a donation. I get a letter at my business every year from Fire District 4, and my wife writes the check every year for Fire District 4. Doesn't even ask my permission. She just writes it because we've been doing it forever. So we don't know what level of response we'll have, but we're going to start gaining revenue, at some point in time when we're able to provide a service. We're not going to ask for money until we can provide a service. So in essence, we're asking for the money as seed money. We're asking the money as seed money to help us gather the grant. The grant will let us buy equipment. At that point in time, we could then hire an employee and start spraying. When we start spraying, then we could ask the residents for a donation to fund the district while we're trying to get on the ballot for a fee election. That's the long game plan, or the long-term plan to establish the mosquito abatement board. I guess my point, I've heard, y'all only entitled to 2/9 or whatever. I guess the thing is, there have been areas of the parish that have gotten these assets already. Scooter and I ran some rough numbers based on the households that exist in our two districts. Assuming that there's 3.5 people live in every household, we have over 50,000 residents residing in District 2 and District 3, in a parish that has a population of about 185,000. So in essence, Layton said 185, I think. So I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 37 to 38% of the residents of the parish reside in those two districts. So I guess what I'm asking is that given the fact that we've given these assets out before, that we're using it for seed money that would possibly jumpstart our district, and if the fee that we request to be mandatory is passed by the people, then we could repay the seed money back to the mosquito abatement district. And if it doesn't pass, then it'll be money spent on mosquito abatement, which is what it was designed for anyway. Right. I've talked to the parish president. I've talked to Ms. Jennifer, and the concurrence is that what we're doing is completely legal, and that it's about the only way the money could be spent. So in essence, I'm asking that we pass a resolution to ask the parish president to appropriate $50,000 or amend the budget to appropriate $50,000 out of the mosquito abatement fund to this district in this year, 25 and next year, and 25 and 20. And make no mistake, if the tax passes or the fee passes, wherever you want to refer to it, in the fall of 2019, then we probably aren't going to need the appropriation in 2020. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. That's what we're asking for. I've talked to some of y'all. You know, I have a feeling how the vote's going to go, but I always can be surprised. But that's what we're asking for. If anybody got any questions for me, I'll be glad to try to answer them as best I can. I just think that if we end up spending, you know, $75,000 or $100,000 out of that $148,000, that given the fact that assets have already been given to certain areas of the parish and the population density of our particular area, I don't think we're really out of whack terribly with the proportion of money that we're asking for. You know what I'm saying? And I think given the fact that this council could possibly invest up to $100,000 in the mosquito abatement district for an additional match from the CDC of another $250,000 doesn't seem like a bad business deal. So that's what I'm asking this council to do.
Comments?
Grants came up, do these grants come up from time to time?
There was, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, there was 2 written last year. There was actually last year, the grant, when we first did this, when we first put the parish-wide mosquito abatement board together last September, I got a call from LSU that said the grant was being funded and there would be available $500,000. And it was gonna be a first come, first served type deal. You know, everybody would apply and then they would evaluate the applications. Well, as it turned out, there were 2 new startup districts in the state during that period that made application. And when I say they're startup districts, I guess the way to quantify is both of them were parishes that one had some form of mosquito abatement. They created a district specifically for it and got the funds, and another parish created a district solely to treat, you know, the mosquito problem. And basically, I think what they saw from given that situation, that dollar amount was about an accurate dollar amount to get you, you know, some equipment to spray with. You know, you need something to spray on the road. You need something that can spray off the road. You know, some traps. You know, some traps. Some stuff to spray larvicide in the ditches. They just kind of had a package type thing that basically said, you know, this dollar amount seems to work good in a startup. So when the CDC contacted the agency again and said, we've got additional funds, and they gave them a number, then they decided to write the grant in the application, write the grant in such a manner that there would be 4 startups funded. So I think, you know, they were told there was possibly $1 million available, so the grants were written in such a manner that there would be funding for 4 startups. Supposedly, you know, the application's been submitted. I think the response has been positive. However, nothing's final until it's announced. So, I mean, this is preliminary. I mean, I've talked to the parish president about it. He knows what our intent is. He knows why we're asking for it. And he knows that if the grant money is not available, we have no desire to ask for the startup money. The startup money is only there to create a situation to allow us to gather the additional $250,000 that's out there for startup mosquito abatement program.
I guess my question, if you could get some kind of funding mechanism in place, and if you did, then that grant, those types of grants may come around again, or if you needed it.
Well, I mean,
or it's a one-shot deal.
I mean,
Gotta have it right now miss out on it forever.
I guess, I guess to answer the question, I don't know. I know that the first time they did it was last year, they got 2. And for whatever reason, after those 2 were granted and the federal government in its however that deal works, there was additional money left. I don't know if certain areas of the country didn't write grants, and so that money was repurposed back to this area. I can't answer those questions. I mean, all I can tell you is that there was a pot with some money in it. And Louisiana got, 500,000. And then after everybody got through getting their part, they came back to the state and said, we've got another $1 million available. Do y'all want to make another grant application? So after these 4, it could be over with. I don't know. I can't answer that question. All I can tell you is there's an opportunity that exists right now. And that's the reason for the request. If the opportunity doesn't, present itself, I'm not gonna ask anybody to get up and allocate $1 to the mosquito abatement district. The only reason we're doing this in this manner tonight is so that if the grant becomes available, we'll have already asked the parish president to do it, and he'll know in his gut how the vote's gonna come. I mean, I'm just gonna say it's a test vote. I'm not gonna ask him to come up here and ask the council to do something without having some good idea what the result's gonna be. I just think that's fair. I mean, it's, if I wanna put something on the agenda and get my butt kicked, that's fine. But I'm not gonna ask somebody else to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do it in such a manner that we know what the result's gonna be before we get him to come before. So that's the reason for the resolution tonight. That's just it in a nutshell. And so, sure.
Just my 2 cents. When we voted to create the 2 districts, the reason I voted yes was because I felt like that y'all deserved the opportunity to establish such districts and determine if the people of your districts wanted a mosquito abatement program. I felt like the people of my district did not want a mosquito abatement program at this time. So to me, if we vote yes tonight, it allows you to begin a mosquito abatement program without the vote of the people. That's just how I feel about it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay.
Not personal.
I mean, I understand. So let me ask you a question. So the elections that happened, that both of them were voted down, do you concede that 40% of the people supported it, right?
That's
40% of the people supported mosquito abatement. 60% of the people voted against either a mosquito abatement or a millage, because it was a millage. Make no mistake about it. And you and I all know that there is a group of people that it doesn't matter what the millage supports, they're going to vote against the millage. It tends to be large property owners who think that the tax is unfair. Given this situation where we're talking about a program that's funded to control mosquitoes, given a millage, if you live in a $500,000 house or a $25,000 house, you're not paying the same thing. But let me tell you what, the mosquito don't know where you live. He don't know what your bank account looks like. He gonna bite you because your blood's warm. I mean, so I guess the point I'm making is that, if we find a funding mechanism that's palatable, meaning equitable across the board, I think it'll pass. But at the same time, if we start mosquito abatement and then send out letters for a donation and we get a positive response, then we can move forward possibly without an election. I mean, I don't know what the response will be. You don't know what the response will be. Nobody knows what. But for you to say that because the tax was defeated, because people don't want mosquito abatement, is not accurate. Because I don't believe that you think the drainage taxes y'all put before the people last year were defeated because people don't want drainage. But the correlation to say that the mosquito abatement tax was defeated because people don't want mosquito abatement, and then to say, but they didn't vote for my drainage tax because they don't want to pay the millage. I mean, that's not, you're not comparing apples to apples. if you're gonna say that people voted down mosquito bait because they don't want it, then people voted down your drainage tax because they really don't care if they flood or not, is what you're saying. And I don't believe anybody voted against it because they don't want drainage. I think they don't vote against it because they don't want to pay for it.
That's why they did, that's,
So all I'm saying is if we find a palatable mechanism that's not a millage, you know, I think the result would be different. And look, I'm in the community, I'm in my district every day. My wife, I don't know, I'm gonna get in trouble, she don't cook a lot. So we go out and eat a lot.
well,
I mean, hell, I'm in trouble now, I can
you
tell
are,
you.
right?
But I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, we either eat lunch or dinner out every day somewhere. Trust me, I mean, people talk to me all the time. I feel very comfortable. I feel very comfortable in what's gonna transpire. So, you know, I'm gonna tell you, if you wanna get rid of me and you don't think it's gonna pass, give me the money. That's like rope to hang myself. That's all I'm telling you.
You know, I'd like to say,
Mr. Watson?
Mr. Talbot, you do a very good job of arguing your case. You're very good at apologetics. And matter of fact, I've been your biggest opponent to mosquito abatement since this began. But you almost have me wanting to write a check to pay for it. And then I quickly come to my senses, and it reminds me that the people of this parish, as Mr. Shane said, voted against it. And I understand your argument that the ones who voted against it were split. Some didn't like the funding mechanism and some don't want mosquito. But I have to assume that the people in this parish are educated voters when they go to the polls and they make a good decision based on what they know. You know, and another thing, is it your plan, or what would stop if the parish did give money to the mosquito abatement district, for that money to be spent to campaign and advertise for a tax? So we would take taxpayers' money that was spent, given to the parish.
Where's Chris at? I mean, I think that.
Hold on, my question.
Go ahead.
Let's let him finish.
We're gonna take taxpayer money, give it to a district to campaign to taxpayers to vote in another tax. I just don't see where that is. But then you'll jump around and say, oh, but we can't use that money to clean out ditches that would kill mosquitoes, that would keep mosquitoes from breeding, because that's not mosquito
Sure, you can't use it for that either.
It's funny how we pick and choose what we want. And I just don't think that the people want to have their tax-paid money to campaign on them to pay more taxes. I mean, I can't support that. And, you know, I appreciate, you're good. I want you arguing on my side. I really do, because you're a great arguer. And you got my heart almost bleeding. But the truth is, I've been consistent on this. I think we allowed the mosquito district to go, then now we've got to spend another time talking about this. Had we just voted no to create a mosquito abatement district like the people of this parish voted twice, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. This would be mute. And so I just, you know, other than a motion to drop this and go on to the next item, I mean, if you won't even let it come to a vote, that's fine. I am just adamantly against this.
So you got a motion to just bypass it, right? You got a second? Anybody want to second John's motion to just bypass this issue and not hear it? Okay, so.
but I have something to say. I have something
Okay,
to say.
hold on. Mr. King was next.
Well, I'm hearing you saying that you're thinking it's not a wise use of taxpayer money. Well, is a wise use having it sitting in an account that it can never, ever be used for anything else, period? Is that a wise use of taxpayer money?
No.
No. So let's use it for, you cannot. John, it's not that hard. It's, you know.
But we could buy signs.
Even simple folks can figure this out.
I mean,
okay.
I just text Chris to ask him, can we use his money to promote the tax? I'm pretty confident that you can't utilize that money.
No,
that
you
way.
cannot.
I mean, I'm pretty
You can't use
sure
cards
that
money, you can't use
do
any
it.
money.
If I'm not mistaken, the only thing you can use it for is spraying or
stuff like that.
Equipment, yeah.
Well, who says you can, John?
I don't know, I
Well,
mean,
you sitting there saying you can, and we sitting there saying you can't, so.
Well, I take offense to them thinking that we would use
I
it
don't
for
know.
that.
That's what I'm
That this
trying to figure
board,
out.
this mosquito board would take the money and go, well, let's advertise so we can get more money.
well, that's what you want.
And we're talking $36 a year. I can pay that out of my pocket in change, okay, a year. And we talk about this all the time, $36 a year.
Don't tell me, tell the people.
Well, the people
who
know.
voted a no to the mosquito ban. They're the
Let me
ones
tell you
who
something,
voted.
let me tell you something, what they voted down was way more than $30.
Oh, way more. Mine was gonna be over
Mr.
$400
Gardenhouse, you have something to say?
Yes.
for my house and my businesses.
First of all, you got $36 and change.
Well, I took it out for, these pants were too tight. Yeah, you're right.
Both, John, Mr. Watson was correct. It was very, you speak very eloquently. I do take exception to a few things. One, when we first started this argument about voting for mosquito abatement, Mr. King, you said, we need to get ahead of this because there is a pending
Yeah.
problem. So
Well, that's what we were told, not me.
Okay. The numbers didn't say that when they came and presented it didn't say that. But I do recognize the fact that it could happen. It could happen. Anything can happen. So that's part of the reason why I think it behooves us to keep that money so we will have money because make no mistake, I believe that people don't want it. But if 30 people wind up, or 40 people in one season wind up dying, we're going to spray. I feel like we will. And I will deal with my constituents at that moment. At that time, I'll say, look, 30 people didn't pass away, or this many people didn't die from it, so we're going to attack it. I don't believe that's going to happen. In my heart, I don't believe that's going to happen. So that is why I think we should keep the money in case it does happen, because you said yourself it is a possibility. Now, on the note of Walker getting assets, they did. I talked to Mr. Ramsey today, and he was the one who accepted those things. He said it's probably between $18,000 to $24,000 worth of equipment. Older trucks. Walker got 2 trucks. And he said that they called him and said, do you want to take this? He didn't lobby for it. But more importantly about all of that is my district is only about 80% Walker. There's 20% of those people out there that I represent that do not get any kind of mosquito control, and yet that they spent that money and put it in there. And all of you guys, you don't have abatement, but the people in your district put that money there. That is your people's money. And are you going to be a good steward of that money or of your people if you give that money away to another district to spend on, as Mr. Mack said, abatement that they voted against for whatever reason, whether it was a millage, the funding mechanisms or not, they voted against it. Now we can speculate, and it is y'all's right to take it back to your people, which you want to do. I believe that is your right. You can say, hey, I think that you voted against it because of the way it was the way they wanted to fund it. Will you want to do it again? I believe it's going to go down, but it is your right to do that. Having said that, I think it's our right to hang on to our money. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Avery?
We put all the money up amongst all the districts. What, we're gonna end up with $16,000 a piece?
36 to 16,000, something like that.
Basically.
Well, we talking
How
about
much can I spray in my area for $16,000? Half a road?
Can't, but with 250,000, if there is a problem.
You're not gonna do it, Tracy, with $148,000, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
but you can
You're gonna have to
start.
split it up.
I guess
Where you doing it, you'd have to split it up where you wanna do it.
Well, if you're comfortable
You'd have to
giving
split it up.
your district's money away to
Correct
be
or
spread
not?
in another district, go right ahead.
I guess the
$16,000, it's not like it's
thing
breaking the parish,
we-
it's gonna break my district.
is, look,
My opinion.
you and I both know that probably, and this will sound terrible, I'll say, probably the further east we got, the less participation we had.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And probably
never gonna
north
happen
of
out
Walker, there wasn't a lot of participation, Jeff. Just be honest about it.
But
the reason that Scooter and I are even addressing it is because of the densely populated, the density of our area and the fact that, make no mistake about it, the denser the population, the more effective it is, the easier it is to treat. I mean, because of the way, the proximity of people to the roads and the ability to not have large areas that hold water. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? You got a big old pasture, you could have a place out there, you know, in the grass breeding mosquitoes and nobody know about it. All I'm telling you is the reason that we feel that we can be successful is, number one, it's proven that the more densely populated the area, the easier it is to address. Look, I'm not going to tell you that Scooternice District put up the whole 100,000. That's not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is that there is money within this parish that has been sitting there since the thing disbanded. And it can only be utilized for mosquito abatement. And there is no, we're the only mosquito abatement district within the parish. The parish has been sprayed after the flood, and that money wasn't utilized. It was sprayed out of the general fund and reimbursed by FEMA. And if we had a health catastrophe, that's what the surplus of the health department's for, to address those issues. What I'm telling you is if you give us the seed money and we're successful in starting a program and there is an epidemic, at least we've got an agency that in theory could spray the whole parish if need be. I'm just telling you, you're not starting from zero. So I understand your point that you want to save the money in case there's a problem, but if you're able to take a little bit of the money, gather a bunch of additional equipment with the investment of it, if you do have an epidemic and you do need to spray, at least there'll be an agency with the materials and the equipment to address the issue without contracting to some outside source, which is what we did after the flood. Now, Mr. Moody did answer your question, John. Absolutely, if y'all gave us that $50,000 into the $25,000 appropriations, that money could not be used to promote an additional tax. There's a response from our legal counsel.
Where's he at?
Sitting right there.
He don't like the
I sent him a text and he responded.
Well,
So,
Well, you can use it, no public money can be spent to promote any election. You could use the money to advertise, or rather.
Or that there's gonna be an election.
Yeah, let them know what it's
I
about.
think-
Well,
They
that's,
get it.
okay.
I think he said no, and then he said could provide information
Well,
on
you didn't
election.
say all that.
Wait a second, 'cause that was the second, that response came like 3 minutes later.
okay.
Hold. I want to add something. You know, I hear you saying 4 municipalities got a piece of the pie, basically. They're all asking for another piece of the pie for District 2 and 3. But what about French Settlement, Coyale, Satsuma, Springfield, Killian, Marpaw, Fort Vincent, Head Island?
Those are all in districts where they don't want
I
mosquito
guess what I'm
abatement.
gonna tell you,
But that's their money.
well,
That's their tax money.
well, it's the mosquito abatement district's tax money. It's not any, once they paid the money, it's, the money belongs to the mosquito abatement fund.
Not to
Make no
individuals
mistake,
anymore.
there's never gonna be a refund to those individuals. It can only be spent on the mosquito abatement. The individuals that represent those cities that you just named all said, my people don't want mosquito abatement.
So we couldn't
Some
never
of
use
you
it there.
sat up here and said that we're gonna poison people if we spray them, and some of you sat up here and said it doesn't work. So why would you waste your people's tax money on poisoning them or spraying something that doesn't work, if that's the way you truly feel?
When the people in our districts do feel like it works and that it's
Look,
not a poison.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sure that's gonna pass. I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution to ask the parish president to amend the budget to allocate 50,000 to mosquito district 1 and 2 and 3 in fiscal 18, 25 fiscal 19, and 25 fiscal 20. You want to second it?
I do, but I think he's got a question.
That's fine. I mean, I made a motion.
I'll second it.
We're not ending the debate
I'll
yet.
second it, and then you can,
Second, Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. King. Before, is there any comment from the public?
Come on, you know you got something to say.
Come on, we got somebody coming.
got Gordon.
Hold. We got somebody coming up right now. Wait.
But before you call the vote, I have something I want to say too. Go ahead, yes. No.
Public, right?
Gordon, 31246, Old Baton Rouge Highway, Albany, Hammond. Gentlemen, Livingston Parish, yes. Gentlemen, I think the problem here is the same problem we had with drainage. There are a lot of people out there that don't trust the way their money's being spent, unfortunately. I think y'all are doing the best you can with what you have available, and I know it's tough trying to govern, but I think a lot of the people in the parish feel that the west end of the parish gets everything, the east end of the parish gets nothing. That's just a perception. And when something like this comes across, it comes across as the same thing. We're trying to move money that everybody paid into to the west end of the parish. Now, personally, I believe in mosquito abatement, and I look forward to the day when the whole parish participates. And I'd love to see a $250,000 grant be able to work for the whole parish instead of just 2 districts. But until that happens, this doesn't pass the smell test. And what's going to happen is people are going to say, well, they took money that everybody put into the coffers and they moved it to one part of the parish. And they're going to say, they're going to do the same thing if we vote for drainage. They're going to take our money and they're going to move it somewhere else. Now, if we're not going to have a consolidated drainage district where everybody feels that they're all getting to participate and reap the rewards of the money that they put into the drainage, then, and we're not going to have a consolidated mosquito abatement program, then you can't expect people to feel that if they put $36 a year, which we used to do $32 for Springfield Fire Department, and it's money well spent. If people don't feel that that money is going to benefit them relative to the money that they're putting in, then they're not going to vote for anything. It doesn't matter what you put up. You could ask them, you could say they could have free hamburgers for a week. They're not going to put the money up because it doesn't pass the smell test to them on where their money is being spent. So I would just ask that resolutions and ordinances, if y'all would just look at doing no harm and just look at what is fair to all of the people in the parish, not just one section, I think your resolutions and your ordinances will get a lot more participation from the people who live in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Gordon, you got a second? I'd like to make a comment to you. Can I do that? Can I tell you?
You know, we tried to do this parish-wide.
I know.
Okay. And I'm gonna be honest with you. When in doing research on this thing, that's what gave Scooter and I the idea when the whole deal was rejected. When you go back and look at St. Tammany and look at how their district came about, it started in one little area. When the NASA deal was, when Stennis Buffer Zone was booming, and all those people moved from different areas of the country over here and were friggin'
To the swamp.
couldn't go outside because they didn't know what all them little bugs were all over. I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, that's what created it. The need for outside people to come in and the need for certain people to move into that area. And the fact that they didn't want to come because of the mosquitoes created the initial mosquito abatement district in St. Tammany Parish. It started in one section. Now, St. Tammany has parish-wide mosquito abatement. And it grew fairly rapidly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I believe the need's there. You believe the need's there. The whole intent was to try to do it parish-wide. Well, and the feeling of the council was that most of the people didn't want it. So, we lobbied to try to get a parish-wide. That's what the initial intent was. And so consequently, when that didn't happen, I still think the ultimate goal is parish-wide mosquito abatement. my feeling is that based on the makeup of Scooter in my district, that we feel like we have the best chance of getting the fee paid to fund mosquito abatement. All we're asking for is some startup money. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you. We would invite anybody else's district that wanted to join our district to go out, have an election, agree to pay our fee, and we'll bring in. Ultimately, what we hope is that the mosquito abatement district that's created in 2 and 3 becomes a parish-wide district. I think, and I don't know, but you know, if you chose as a councilman to say, my people don't want it, and then at a later date, because Scooter and I's district, you know, because our district passed it and we created this new mosquito abatement district and it's funded, and people saw that it was successful and working, and they wanted to join, I mean, I would think if you were the councilman, you would be tickled, because it's a no-lose situation
Then they
for
come
you.
to you and say, I want it. When they
So-
do that, then you go,
I'll agree to a point, but the problem still remains, all the members of this council voted to allow districts 2 and 3, is it?
mm-hmm.
To have a mosquito abatement program based on it being self-funded. Now, it appears that those districts want to take money that they're not providing themselves and use it as startup money. Now, even if districts 2 and 3 were successful in getting the grant and didn't need the $50,000 and then 25 and 25, which, by the way, I think you would have had a better chance if you'd just said 50,000 startup, because that would have been approximately.
But we had to have recurring, is why. Have to have recurring, and that's why it would be like that.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, the reason for the grant thing was a recurring revenue, and if we could get money coming in on a donation thing, and we could establish recurring revenue, then we wouldn't even ask for the others.
But I still think the problem is, to the residents of the parish, it appears that their money, once again, is being used, I guess, it's almost like taxation without representation, or at least without full representation.
Right, because we're only taking a portion of it anyhow.
Well, I
Right.
mean, I guess the thing about it is,
How can money be used for education?
because
Can't.
that's not what
Mosquito.
it's designed for.
Voted it in.
The money was paid.
Yeah, and all that's gonna be involved in our program. There will be, make no mistake, there will be education.
You feel that given the fact that Scooter and I have 37% of the population, we should have asked for 37% of the money and left it alone at that?
Well, I'm just saying.
Let me ask, as a citizen,
Argument.
as a citizen of the parish, who obviously contributed to the mosquito abatement fund, if we could identify that 30% of the residents lived in our district, you wouldn't have a problem with them appropriating 37% of $148,000 to it?
If you could show to this council and to me that your residents funded a certain amount of that $148,000, then of course I'd have no problem
Well,
with that
I
money
mean-
going back to your residents.
I mean, I guess the thing is that we can't say who funded what at this
That's
point in
correct.
time.
And
So,
there's the-
but I will bet you $1 to a donut that more people in Watson paid it than paid it in Holden.
I would agree
Okay.
that more people in Watson than Holden, but I agree.
Yeah, 26,000.
Any more comment?
Sycamore's.
Go ahead, man. John Williams, 9421 North Street.
Wait,
Look,
wait,
I'm
what was
in
that?
one of the districts for the mosquitoes, so you would think that I'd be all for it, but as you all know, I'm against the mosquito abatement because I don't think it'll work. And I've got millions and millions of mosquitoes in my backyard. I just feel like it wouldn't work, but that's irrelevant. But I did go back to one statement that was made when it was voted on. One of my councilmen said, this is all gonna be totally free, this mosquito abatement.
Are you talking
We're
about,
not
I'm
gonna
sorry,
ask
when it was originally
$1
voted? Or,
Where there's no such thing as being free. Either it's through grants, which maybe I contributed to that grant, or it's through the federal government, which money went out of the left pocket to the federal government.
Yeah,
And that's
same.
irrelevant too. But I do believe, and if they want to appropriate the money for the mosquito abatement, if this council can somehow wiggle around and get it where they can use it, then at the same time, if we don't let them have it, you'll be able to weasel around, and when we need that money for something else, you could appropriate it for that. Maybe there's an emergency comes up in the future where we bombarded with mosquitoes after a big flood that you could use it on there. So I really think all the people with the parish should vote and keep it where the money's at. Even though we can't spend it right now, one day we might have to spend it. So I'm against the proposal. And I think we need to look at it real careful. I admire the two councilmen that want mosquito abatement, I really do. And he would make a darn good preacher, because he's real good.
Preacher, he got it honest.
I mean, a lot of the stuff he said was real true.
Reverend Frost.
But at the same time, the other people in the other areas, it is their money. And I don't think we should take it away from them to give to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bud.
Okay, James, I'm gonna have to get up and get one.
Come on, the Purple Martian.
My name is James Smith. I live on Purple Martian Avenue, 9295 North Street, Denver Springs. It was my understanding that when we started all this, that the majority of the population of the parish didn't want it. So we said no. Then we sat down here and we talked about it. Two of the districts says they want it. I don't think anybody knows there's any money left over in the 148,000 that's there. And personally, if I was in a district that didn't want it, I wouldn't care if I gave it to them, because that would mean there was no money to try to start any yours. It's my understanding that if we have a operating district for mosquito abatement, if for some reason out of nowhere comes a grant from the state that says, we'll give you a couple of $1 million to start your business if you have one going. But if you don't have one going, you're gonna have to sit here and you're gonna have to start the process, do it all over again just to get it going, and you're gonna miss out on that money. And this is what my thought process is. And the $148,000 in the big scheme of things, like he said, I think 30% of the people pay for it. I know I wrote my little check every year. And I think that the people that don't want it are not going to care whether they get the money or not. That's just my personal opinion. But I do believe if we have, even though it's small, even though it's a one truck or somebody out there with a Flitz gun spraying for mosquitoes, and a grant comes around, or we have a need for it, 30 people die from it, one person dies from it, we have a system started already that we could institutionalize across the board right away, where if we don't have it, then we're going to have to sit here and we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to have to beat it to death again. So, unlike my brother here, James, I am for the starting of the mosquito abatement program. Do I believe it fully works? No. But if it kills one mosquito that keeps one kid alive, I'm for it.
Thank you.
Again, like I say, I don't think anybody in your district is going to hold you accountable. You spent $48,000 of our money, or $50,000 of our money on somebody else. I really don't. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I go right home to somebody else?
Hey, I'm going that way.
Shane, did you still have a
No,
comment?
this is what it's all about. We're different in opinions, but we all express.
That's
our
fine.
opinions, and, you know, that's what it's all about.
Oh, I got a text about it already.
Mr. Mack?
I just was wondering, do we have an Attorney General's opinion on what can be done with that money? I mean, I think that the definition of abatement, I think that we need to take a step back and look at that, to be honest with you. I mean, I do think it can be used for other things. I think that you could argue that it could and win an opinion from the Attorney General. That's just my take. Yeah, I'm asking.
There's been no opinion sought, but in general, if it's a dedicated tax, it has to be used for the dedicated purpose that people voted for.
I got something to say about that too. The $30 that was being assessed for the property, to me, was that ever voted on and approved by the people and required to be paid?
It was
Because if it
voluntary.
was, can I finish? Because if it was, then how come you wasn't penalized for not paying it? I think that was almost like a voluntarily type thing, and I think we need to take a step back and find out what truly this money can be spent.
Right, I've not researched it, and there's been no opinion sought. I'm just giving you, that's the general rule. And my understanding was that it was not a good mechanism to collect the fee. It was a fee rather than a tax. But if it's a proposed fee and people have been paying for it, then you're obligated then to spend that money that way. That's a general, so, but we could ask for an attorney general's opinion if you like.
On that topic, I mean, I would say that everybody agrees the biggest problem with mosquitoes is drainage.
Right.
Why couldn't we use it for drainage?
You could possibly do that if it's.
It's something.
Thank you, Mr.
14 million a year, we don't get anything drained.
Let's clean some ditches.
Let's call for the question.
I just got something real quick.
Hold on, Mr. Girlinghouse has to say something.
Just real quick, and you had made reference to the fact that if there was an emergency, that's what the health unit money is for, the money that's left over in the health unit. But, I mean, the surpluses exist because they were overpaying. Since that millage didn't get renewed to the level that it was, every year that money goes down. So can't really rely on that money there because probably in another 3 or 4 years, the surplus will be gone.
Actually, didn't she say it went to 1.5 mils from 1.1 last year, so we increased the millage, so that's not right.
No, we were talking about the health unit millage?
That wasn't operational, that's debt retirement. But the reason, I mean, and let's face it, the last council was ill prepared to do what they did. That was a mistake.
That was a huge mistake.
To decrease that millage. I mean, the purpose of the millage was to create a surplus for the purpose of dealing with health problems. So, hopefully, at some point in time in the future, we need to be, addressed that this council can do it. However, the purpose of the surplus was to address health issues. And the purpose of the surplus is not to fund the health unit. So at some point in time, the health unit, as Jennifer told me that today, and Leighton said too, whether that $148,000 exists in that account or not is not going to stop this parish from addressing, hazardous situations where we have, a epidemic or we have a flood and need spraying. That money's not the money that's going to address it. So I understand what everybody's saying. All I'm telling you is that, look, the people in the finance situation here we've addressed it, we've talked to them, they're all in favor. Look, we can't account for who presented what money. Sit down in your heart and think about it. Think about what your constituents are telling you now. And I'm not going to deny that people from Albany paid $30. You sit out in your heart and figure out what percentage you think they did. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? All we're asking for, I'm not asking for all of it. We're asking for some of it for startup. And look, if y'all want to, somebody make a substitute motion and limit it to, 35%.
Call for the question. I've had enough.
Call for the question.
This is enough.
All right.
I'll second calling for the question. Whatever, let's go, let's vote.
You don't have to do that. We just have a motion and a second.
You don't have to do it.
You want to read the motion?
What did I do?
We're gonna ask the parish president to allocate funds and amend the budget to allocate $50,000 for the fiscal year of 2018, $50,000 for 2019, $50,000 for the year 2020.
25 for 19, 25 for 20. We're not trying to get all of them.
I didn't know they had that much. I'd ask for all of it.
Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. Ard?
No.
Mr. Wascom?
No.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
No.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Loville? Mr. Averett?
Yes.
Mr. Mack? Motion carries.
Okay, item 16. Addition of roads in Woodland Crossing subdivision located in Council District 6. For consideration to the capital outlay priority road list, Mr. Avery.
Go in and get them scored, and go from there. Just, they bad. Get calls every week on those two, it's actually two of them. Woodland Crossing and Westminster, well, you gotta do them as two, right?
I have a question. It's a list of roads. Do I
It's a
need
lot.
to name them in, do I need to name them into the record? Okay. But it can be in one motion, right?
One motion, you want to read all the,
Okay, the first one is from Westminster Estates. It's Stockton Drive, Adams Lane, Portage Drive, Buckingham Avenue, Windsor Avenue, Hampton Court, Wilmington Drive, Big Bend Drive, Parliament Drive. And then from Woodland Crossing, Parkwood Drive, Greenwood Drive, Havenwood Drive, Holly Ridge Drive, Windbrook Drive, and Brook Drive, Mulberry Drive, Hazelwood Drive, Willowwood Street, Burrowwood Avenue, Poplar Glen Drive, Bonnie Blue Drive, Robindale Drive, Millstone Drive, Cottonwood Court, Avondale Court, Silverwood Court, Maplewood Drive, Sprucewood Drive,
Lord.
Pinewood Drive, Mimosa Drive, Bellwood Drive, Palmwood Court, Ribbonwood Drive, Buffwood Drive, Sagewood Drive, Winwood Avenue, Myrtlewood Court, Bronzewood Street, Birchwood Court, Markwood, M-I-R-K Wood Court, Jimmy Drive.
So it's not Jimmy Wood, it's just Jimmy?
Jimmy Drive.
Wow.
Avery makes a motion, I second.
all right, motion by Mr. Avery, second by Mr. Talbot. Any comment from the public on this? Council?
Any other roads in your district left?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, all of that's
He just
probably
doubled
what,
the side of
about
the
3
road
miles of
overlay
road
program.
for all of it?
No, it's a good bit of road. That was actually the biggest subdivision in Parish.
I'm just
What, 6 filings? Huge.
A lot of them roads are real short.
Some of them short, yeah, a lot of them short.
Real short.
And some of them in very good shape.
I even get calls out.
Yeah, we get them out of there all the time.
New
It's
Orleans,
nonstop.
Everybody in there's from New
All in
Orleans.
favor? All opposed?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Motion passes.
That was the I, I'm just saying.
Item 17, addition of roads, well, we did both of them, right?
No.
Yeah, she read both lists.
You read both of them? Okay, okay.
No, yeah, I did, that was the first one.
Which I think Westminster's only got 2, correct, Sandy?
Yep.
That was the
We
first
read
one I
both
read
of them.
was Henry.
Okay,
Yeah.
item 18, discuss installation of 24-inch culverts. This still in?
No,
We tabled
gentlemen, I'd
this?
like to defer that to the next meeting. I need to gather
Okay.
more information.
19, board resignation and appointment. Mosquito Abatement District 2 and 3 Board. Tudor King.
That's me. All right, before we got started good, we had a defector. Actually, he got busy with work, Mr. Jamie Seals, so I got his resignation letter. And I had gotten a call from another man in my district that works for the state, and he said, I really want to help y'all with this board. I believe in mosquito abatement. It's very necessary. We're getting killed over here. Off of Linda Road.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said, we're getting killed over here. He actually lives on Hidden Trails off of Linder, and they have those 2 retention ponds that they forced them to dig, and they full of slime. It's bad. You can't even stand in his yard. But if we had some startup money, maybe we could fix this problem.
What
Anyhow, his name is Mr. Sean Ravel, and I'd just like to appoint
We
him
need
to
to
the
do
mosquito
the
board.
resignation first.
Well, we accept the resignation. I make a motion to accept Mr. Jamie Seals' resignation.
Second, motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Avery, to accept the resignation. Mr. Seals, all in favor? All opposed?
I make a recommendation to appoint Mr. Sean Ravel.
I second that.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Talbot. All in favor? All opposed?
Is that all we had on that? You didn't
I
have
don't know, but this cost, y'all realize my comment just cost me, don't you?
All right.
that? Does that say you?
Item,
Want to meet me for dinner since I didn't cook.
call for the vote.
Yep.
Got a
Mr.
call for the
Ard?
vote?
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
No.
Mr.
Hold on,
Williams?
hold on. We're going to call for the vote on the last motion because we had a nay.
We had a nay?
John ain't supporting even us appointing
All right,
members of the board.
let's just
Mr.
call.
Garlinghouse?
You shit.
I don't know how to vote. What's the?
Sorry.
To accept the new resignation,
Yes.
the new,
No, it's not the resignation, I
I
voted
mean,
for that.
yeah, it's to, new appointment.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, so,
Mr. King,
yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Talbert,
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Avery.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yeah.
Okay, item 20. Request for waiver intended for the allowance of permitting due to the restrictions of LP number 17-22, section 13-46.1. Restriction in use for mobile home manufactured homes to be placed in the named subdivision for the intent of on-site custom-built single-family homes.
I got one in my district. And I looked at it on Google Maps, and it looks like it's appropriate to put a mobile home. I'm not gonna lie, I did not lie. I looked at the satellite.
Because of your district, I second your motion.
Well, we're gonna do them all.
I refuse
Hold
Mr.
on.
Wascom's second.
No, hold on, we're gonna do them all together, so that's Mr. Talbot,
How can you do it together?
and then we have, that,
That's me.
the other one's Linda Road, Mr. King.
Yeah, I did go out and look at mine because I drive past it every day, so I just stopped and looked, and there's trailers all around it, and I'm okay with it.
What's that?
Across the street from you. So, yeah, I make a recommendation that we
So,
accept it.
we got a motion from Mr. King, second from Mr. Talbot to accept, a motion to give a waiver for these two trailers.
Correct. Okay, that'd be fine.
Subdivision into the record of Ohio. The first one is for Dustin and Carly Purple, for Cloverleaf Acres subdivision. The address is 11022 Cloverleaf Acres, Dim Springs, 70706. It's in Council District 2. The subdivision is for Linda Rose Estates for Lacey and Jeffrey Melanson. The address is 31980 Linda Road, Dim Springs, 70726, and it's located in Council District 3.
All right, any comment from the public on this? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, while we're on this topic, I've asked Ms. Sandy to remove this as a standing item. We put this on here as a standing item because of the flood, so people wouldn't have to wait. It's been 2 years since the flood, and it's not fair to some of these places that people could walk in the day of our meeting, ask for a permit for a trailer, and the people that live in the area have no chance to find out about it or call us or talk to us. Sometimes we barely have enough time to even look into it because, you know,
And mine came yesterday.
yeah, so it's, if you're gonna be getting a mobile home, it's part of getting a mobile home, putting it in place. You gotta go get your permit. If it's in a place where you need this waiver, you're gonna have to wait till the next council meeting. Item 21, District Attorney Report.
Strike one up for Creek Bone.
No report.
Yeah.
Item 23, Councilman comment. No comment.
I'm talked out.
Item 24. Do I have a motion from Mr. Harris to adjourn? Second from Mr. Lobel. All in favor? All opposed? Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.